Hey y'all, what's good? What's going on with y'all today? Sorry, my voice is got a little frog in it. Um, Hopefully everybody is having a good day, having a good week, having a good month. Um, my content, is for whenever you come across it or whenever it just so happens to show up on your timeline, show up on your feed. Um, but if you are new, welcome to my channel, The Quiet Whispers. Hopefully, if you like my content, you will subscribe and become a part of the community. And if you are returning, hopefully you will go ahead and subscribe and become a part of the community. Especially if you're returning, because why not? Go ahead and subscribe. You know you want to. So anyway, y'all, today I wanted to talk about part two, right? Okay, so this is the part two. So originally, this was not supposed to be like a part one, part two type of thing. But the other day, I made a video called Fake It to Make It Healing Does Not Work. And I was basically talking about how, you know, basically fake it to make it healing does not work. Like, you can pretend that you are healed, you can pretend that you are okay with certain things, but eventually that mask is going to fall off. Your actions, and especially if you have not completely healed from something that someone has done to you or whatever, it's going to show, like it's going to come out. um and sometimes it comes out in a way that's like uncontrollable, where like you can't control it. um and so basically, in that video, Fake It to Make It Healing Does Not Work, I was basically just encouraging everyone to stop shortchanging their growth, because by you faking it, you're shortchanging yourself versus actually going ahead and doing the necessary healing work that you need to do to go ahead and heal and grow and elevate, and level up your life. Seriously, you're sabotaging yourself. You're stunting your own growth. Okay, so I had got so wrapped up in it, and the video started going over the time that I had wanted to go over. So I was like, let me just cut this short and make this like a part two type of deal. I might not necessarily call it a part two, but basically, another thing that I wanted to do too was talk about my own personal experience when it comes to healing and doing the healing work. Like I mentioned in the other video, um, healing is not pretty. It's not pretty. It is not easy, okay? But it is necessary. It is very necessary. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many people avoid doing the healing work, because it's not pretty. Okay? It's really ugly. You have to come face to face with a lot of things. And a lot of people, they don't like to come face to face with certain truths about themselves or about others. They don't want to feel those emotions. Um and sometimes what ends up happening is that you try to repress those emotions, and you may walk around and you may pretend like, oh, everything is fine, I'm good, I'm well, oh, I've put it behind me, I'm not thinking about it anymore, oh, it's out of my mind, out of sight, out of mind, stuff like that. And the only person that you're fooling, number one, is yourself. The only person that you're hurting, number two, is yourself. And so, what I just want to do is, I want to encourage all of you out there to actually do the healing work, so that you can get to the other side of that. Because, like I was saying in my other video, the other side of that healing, it is such a beautiful thing. Um, the inner peace that you get, the inner peace is like a higher level of understanding. Seriously, a higher level of understanding clarity. Like you just see things from a different perspective. It is truly a transformation. It's truly a rebirth. You are not the same person. You do not come out the same person when you actually do the healing work. Um, and one thing about healing is that healing is not for you to forget what happened to you or what you went through. It's never, you know, for you to like just forget. No, because you'll probably always remember, those experiences that you had. But healing actually allows you to learn how to master, and I believe I was saying this in the other video too. It helps you to um you develop self mastery when you actually do the healing work. You develop self mastery when it comes to um, just common sense things like knowing what you can and cannot control and like being okay with it, like knowing how to respond to other people, knowing how to react or not react to other people, knowing how to pick and choose your battles. That comes with healing and that also comes with wisdom. But you have to do the healing work first in order to get to the wisdom part. Okay? Because the clarity and that higher level of understanding that you gain when you do the healing work, that's when you're going to get that wisdom. That's where that wisdom is going to come in at. And I believe I also mentioned too in the other video how your healing, it brings you closer to God. It really does. Um Even if you don't believe in God, it brings you closer to a higher power, uh, a higher source, or whatever you believe in. Of course, we're talking about, you know, God, Jesus Christ on this channel. But I'm just saying, period, it puts you, healing is spiritual. I'm sorry. It just is. Healing is spiritual. Um and we're talking about healing your soul here. We're talking about healing your soul, healing any wounds. If you have been, hurt in any type of way, childhood wounds, adult wounds, relationship wounds, family wounds, you know, healing is spiritual. Just straight up. It's spiritual. And this is just, this is my personal opinion when it comes to that part. I really feel like it's spiritual because Jesus was a healer. Okay? Jesus was a healer. um I just feel like you can't properly heal if you don't have God at the foundation. If you don't have God in the center of it, you cannot properly heal. You just can't. um that's how I got through my healing process. And that's how I'm still making it through my healing process. The fact that I surrendered and I allowed God to be a part of my healing journey. I invited God to be in my life, period. And I took my relationship with God very seriously. Okay, my prayer life changed drastically. I went from praying to God once every once in a while, once in a blue moon, to just, prayer is not something that I was really strong at, but because you know prayer wasn't really my strong suit, I just went ahead and started speaking to God out loud whenever I felt like I needed to communicate with God, whenever I felt like I needed to cry, scream, vent, whatever. I would just speak. I would just acknowledge God and I would speak. And by me doing that, my faith and my relationship with God, it just began to grow. It began to strengthen. And then it got to a point where, I was asking God to use me, asking God to guide me, asking God to direct me. Don't be afraid to go to God and ask God why. Don't be afraid to question God about anything at all. That's what God is there for. That's what he's here for. That's what he wants us to do. Anybody that tells you not to question God or not to question anything about God, disregard that. Disregard that. That is foolish. That's foolish. That's how you draw closer to God. God wants you to be curious, and he wants you to be curious about him. Because the more curious you are about God, the more that you want to know about God, the more clarity, the more understanding that you need, the Holy Spirit will guide you in the right direction. And especially when you're talking to God and you're like, God, why? God, what? You will learn patience, you will learn wisdom and discernment. You will learn how to wait on God. Your spiritual eyes, your spiritual ears will you will learn how to get tuned in, like really in depth tuned in to what God is speaking to you uh through the Holy Spirit. I'm telling you, it says so many things just magnetize. And so basically, what I wanted to do was talk about the gifts and perks that come with healing. So when you do go on your healing journey, some of the things that come along with you on your healing journey, um, is that I think, and I mentioned this on my other video, you learn how to have grace with yourself. Like I said, God has grace and mercy with us. God has grace and mercy upon us, but you learn how to have grace with yourself. You learn how to take things one day at a time with yourself, because sometimes we can be our own worst critics. We can be our own worst enemies sometimes. And by allowing God to come into your life and guide you along your healing journey or your spiritual journey, you learn how to be more forgiving of yourself. You're not so hard on yourself. You're not pressuring yourself to try to prove anything to anyone. You don't feel like you need to accomplish a certain thing at a certain time, because this is what society says that you need to do. You come to the realization that you are on God's time, and you get to a place where you are grateful and thankful that you are on God's time. You get those confirmations. It's like you see, like you gain that clarity, you gain that understanding. Whereas before, you may not understood why something would take so long to come into fruition, or why something would take so long for you to get a confirmation or an answer or an understanding. And when you finally get to that point, and then you look back and you realize 9 times out of 10 you were being protected from something that you could not even see. You were being protected from something or someone, or I don't know, even the entity, because spirits attack as well. You know, that is the beauty of, and that's one of the perks. That's one of the perks that comes with healing. That's one of the perks that comes with having a relationship with God, period. You know what I'm saying? You are being spiritually protected. You are being saved from being a part of the enemy's plots, tricks, plans, schemes, whether it's the enemy himself or whether it's the enemy using someone to get to you. Okay, because that's a thing too. That's a thing. All right. So the perk of that is the healing, the wisdom and discernment, knowing when to be still and wait on God, knowing when to move, knowing when not to move. That's one of the perks. Um, Another thing that I wanted to mention here, and I was really trying so hard to be like more organized, but honestly, when I get like excited about a topic or when I'm speaking about a certain topic, sometimes like I have a tendency to talk really fast and go really fast like this, and it's because like it's so much like I'm getting so much, you know, messages and so much downloads, and like it's just so much just spilling out, and I'm trying to keep up, with what's, coming in my mind. So sometimes if you look at some of my videos, it may sound like I'm all over the place. All right. And it may sound like there's absolutely no structure. Um, and I actually have my notebook opened where I have like jotted and taken down notes, but it may sound like I'm all over the place right now. Um, yeah, so we spoke about clarity, we spoke about a higher level of understanding. Um, we did speak about we touched on self-control, self-mastery of your emotions and actions, um, how you respond to others. Um, Also, on your healing journey, any voids that you may have felt, I don't know how to explain it. There's like an empty feeling um, that you may get when you're going through your healing process. Um, and this empty feeling most of the time is due to, you not feeling complete from whether you dealt with rejection, whether you dealt with um not being properly cared for and not being properly loved, if you were neglected, if you always felt like the black sheep or like an outcast, or if you just always felt like something was missing from your life, but you couldn't quite place your finger on it, or say you're in an environment that's not fulfilling to you. It's an environment that stunts your growth. It doesn't allow you to grow because nobody in that environment, they're not mentally and spiritually even at that place where anybody is, growing. And you may feel like something is missing. You may feel like this void. Healing helps to fill that void. And by you having God in the center of your life as the foundation, God will most definitely give you spiritual clarification and confirmation of what it is that's missing, of what's missing. Most of the time, that void, what's missing, and you can't quite place your finger on it, what's missing is God. Seriously, most of the time, what's missing is God. It's just amazing how He brings everything together. He will bring everything in alignment for you. It's absolutely beautiful. And let me tell you, I don't know. I'm making it. I may be making it sound like it's like rainbows and lollipops and unicorns, and it is not that at all. And I don't want to give off that impression. And it may be coming off like that because I know what God took me through. I know how God helped me through, and it's so amazing. The my own Just looking at my own personal growth and my own personal transformation, and just me looking back on myself when I was broken, when I was going through such a dark period in my life, and I was going through a depression. I was at a stage in my life where I did not care about myself at all. I did not care about how I looked. I didn't care about how I dressed. I was eating a lot of comfort foods. It caused me to gain a lot of weight. Um, I was, at that moment too, I was also living in a state of fear because of certain things that I had went through. It was a lot. It was a very dark period, a very dark time in my life. But this is the time in my life where, I reached out to God. I cried out to God for guidance. I cried out to God for help, for understanding. And I'm telling you, you got to be careful what you pray for. You got to be careful what you ask for, because when you cry out to God and God hears you, God is going to start working. Okay. And when God starts working in your life, you got to be ready. You got to be ready. You got to be ready. And it's just beautiful. I'm just thinking about, um, I went from being one way, doing things a certain way, thinking about myself a certain way, thinking about life in general a certain way, to having a completely, totally different outlook and perspective just on life in general. Um, and I'm telling you, that mindset change is real, because let me tell you something, when you are broken, when you have experienced any trauma, any abuse, or you're holding on to any wounds or any hurts, let me tell you, you may not realize in that moment that your thought process and your way of thinking is twisted, it's off. Okay, there may be moments when you're right, but how does that saying go? A broken clock is right twice a day, right? So, your mindset, the way you look at things, the way you're thinking about things, it's just broken. It's broken and it's off, and it's because you're in a broken place. You're in a very dark space in your life. But I'm telling you, when God comes into your life and he starts to work, and you're able to, things that didn't make sense before, it finally starts to make sense. And that's because you're healing. Not only are you healing, but mentally, what your brain is being rewired. Your brain is being rewired. So your thought process, everything that you once thought, everything is being changed. And you're starting to see things differently, and you're starting to think about things in a different way, in your thought process, and the way you move, and the way you act, and the way it's like it's all different, and you can actually recall and look back on, and it's like, wow, I can't believe I actually thought that was okay, or I can't believe I said XYZ. I can't believe, wow. And then you look at yourself now and you're like, oh my God. Oh Lord. Thank God I found Jesus. Oh my goodness. It's like, thank God I found Jesus. I'm so glad God came into my life, because what in the world? And then um when you have on your new set of eyes, and you have on your new set of ears, and your body is just in alignment, and you're in tune with God's word and the Holy Spirit, and you're walking around, and it's like you can almost see the souls of other people, and it makes you want to weep for these other people, and it just kind of makes you, shake your head, and you're just like, wow, these people are so lost. They are so confused. Like, wow, these people really don't have a clue. And you can, because you once were that person, you once were there. And, you know, when you go through that transformation and you go through that level up, and you do that healing work and stuff, it's not for you to judge anybody that is, in that dark place and time in their life, you now have the spiritual eyes. You now have the intuitive, abilities to be able to sense, wisdom and discernment, to be able to sense and, use your intuition. You're able to see, you know it's oh my goodness, you're able to see. It's not for you to judge the other person, though. It's for you to be able to help and assist. That's the beauty of it. Okay, when you come from being broken to healed, and God has blessed you to be able to elevate, and God starts to um introduce you to your gifts, and you start to realize, the whatever gift that God has blessed you with, and you become more in tune with your gifts as you draw closer and closer to God. And like I said, you have your spiritual eyes on, and so you're able to see things, um you know from a supernatural standpoint, only through God. And it's like, it's not for you to judge anyone, though. It's not. And see, that's what people get it wrong. It's not for you to look down on anybody else. Okay, because it just as sure as you can get those gifts can be taken away. No, it is not for you to look down on anybody else. It is not for you to manipulate anyone else. It is not for you to abuse your authority. It is not for you to take advantage of anyone else. It is for you to help those people who are broken, just like you once were. Those people who were in the dark, just like you were once in the dark. Those people who are, their souls are wandering around lost, and they are trying to find home. That's what it is for. It is not for your own personal selfish gains. And that's where people mess up at. That's where people mess up at. Okay. And then that's when you start to hear about all these scandals and these allegations and these things going on with people, because they misuse. They get from one place to the next place, and then they get too comfortable with it, and then they abuse it. Okay, and then they start thinking they're God. They start forgetting that God is the one who blessed you with that, and God can take that away from you. They get on their high horse. Okay, you're just a worker for God. You're just a servant for God. Okay. I think that I rambled on, because we supposed to be talking about gifts and perks that come with healing. But no, 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 no. Actually, I take that back. I did not ramble on. These are gifts and perks that come with healing. It is. These are gifts and perks that come with healing. But sometimes I told y'all, sometimes it can sound like I'm all over the place. But the gifts and perks that come with healing, especially when you have God in your life, is absolutely beautiful. Um, Another thing too, if you were somebody like me, and I do plan on doing another video, how I went from like being in survival mode, because I also operated for a very long time. I operated from a place of survival mode, and I actually operated more in my masculine energy than my feminine energy, because of the fact that I had to wear many hats. Okay. I'm a single mother. I work full time. I was also trying to work on, goals. That I was trying to accomplish, trying to get me and my kids to, a better place, create a better quality of life for me and my children. But, that also comes with, brokenness as well, and needing to heal. When you have gone through certain situations that may have been traumatic, heartbreaking, abusive, whatever you have been through, you're in survival mode. Okay, survival mode looks different for a lot of different people, because we're all different, and the things that we have experienced as individuals, is different. But and see, this was supposed to be a separate video. Look at me. Um, but when you work on your healing and you allow God to be a part of that, God will help you draw closer to your feminine energy. Basically, is what I was trying to say. Especially, if you're a woman, God is going to help you draw closer to your feminine energy. And if you're a man, God is going to help you draw closer to your feminine energy. It's going to be in a healthy way. Okay. It's not toxic feminine, it's not toxic masculine energy. This is going to be in a completely healthy way. Nothing that God is a part of is going to be toxic in any way, shape, or form. Just point blank, period. It's not going to be toxic. Okay. So, God also helped me get to a place where I started to get more, I started to tap more into my feminine energy. But I am going to save that. Um, I'm going to save that video for another day. So we just going to consider this little tidbit right here an introduction to that, because I want to touch bases on that some more as well. I know there are some other women out there who can attest to what I'm saying. When you finally surrender and you allow God to be a part of your life, and how, um, God will he will move some things around for you. It is so beautiful. Um and I'm getting kind of lengthy here. I didn't want this video to be really long. It's getting kind of lengthy here. So um I'm going to bring it to a close. Let me see. Also, let me see. Gifts and perks that come with healing. The way you treat relationships is just completely different. Yes, that's another thing I wanted to say too. You know your worth. You learn your worth. You learn what you are worth. That's such a big one. And you don't settle for less than you deserve. And it's like you're okay with people, it's like you're okay being in your single season. And yes, sometimes your single season can feel lonely. Okay, because for those of us who want a husband, for those of us who want a mate, it's completely natural and it's perfectly fine. Okay, you know so but when you are healing, you are fine in your single season until that right person comes along, because you're not so quick to settle for someone who is not deserving of you. You're not quick to settle for someone who does not value you. You are not quick to settle for someone who is a player, who sleeps around, who he doesn't value and respects himself, and he's not going to value and respect you. Okay. You're not going to settle for like any drama, any foolishness that anybody tries to bring your way. And this can be relationships, this can be friendships. It's like you have no desire for like all of that rah rah. It's like when you're going through that healing process and you start to level up, the things that you want, the things that you desire, it's just different. It's just completely different. Okay. You want to do what is pleasing to God. And I also feel like some people look at, you know, I feel like some people think their life is over. I may have to make this into a separate video because it's going to be so long. I do feel like there are people out there with the mindsets that if they surrender to God and they allow God to come into their life, I think a lot of people feel like their life is just over. And what I mean by that is, I do feel like there are people out there who feel like they won't be able to have fun anymore. They won't be able to enjoy life, and what people don't get is when you start going on your healing journey, you're going to be able to see the difference between what you consider fun and what being free and having fun actually is. Okay. Because what you consider to be fun right now was actually toxic and detrimental to you and your growth. Okay. It's crazy how a lot of people see sleeping around with multiple people. Um that's fun. Okay. Uh, um Going to the club all the time. Doing a lot of drinking, doing a lot of smoking, getting high. That's considered fun for some people. Um Let me see, some type of unethical activity. Um some fights, some drama, some foolishness going on, that's considered, that's what you're afraid to hang up. Is that what you're afraid to relinquish and let go of? You really call that fun? That toxicity, you think that's fun, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm telling you. Um you are just able to see the old you and the new you and the progress that you make, and you're going to be so proud of yourself, and you're going to be thanking God and praising God, and it's just going to feel good. It's going to feel great. And God is not here to take away our fun. Okay. God is just trying to show us the ropes. God is guiding us. God is teaching us. He's trying to show us the ropes, okay, on how to make it in this crazy world, on how to navigate in this crazy world and do so, you know, without having to go through a whole bunch of unnecessary, foolishness. Um but yeah, that's another thing. Like you think it's certain things that you are just so afraid to give up on. Like, oh no, I don't want to start partying and drinking with my friends. And oh no, I don't want to stop, casually having sex with, this one and that one. And oh no, I don't want to stop going to these parties, and I don't want to stop behaving this way or behaving that way. And it's like, I do. And now honestly, I feel I'm gonna make a separate video about that, even though I've kind of already, um, went into my little spiel about it up here. But I do feel like some people, they stop themselves from surrendering. They stop themselves from doing the necessary work to heal, grow, and evolve because they're afraid that their life is going to be boring. I feel like they think their life is going to, um, involve them living like some boring, mundane life where they don't get to do anything, and they don't get to I really do. I feel like people and that is not how God is at all. God, that is not how God is. People have put God in a box for so long that people absolutely have no clue. They have no idea how God really is. And it takes you having to actually build that personal spiritual relationship with God to truly understand how God works and how God operates. God cannot be put in a box in any way, shape, or form. He just cannot. I'm sorry, you know. And that's why, I mentioned in one of my other videos about, nothing's wrong with people who are religious, but I will say that religion has a tendency to put God in a box. It does. It does. Nothing's wrong with going to church. You can go to church and you can get um you can build that foundation. And also you even have to be careful like what church you go to, because every church is not the same. I highly recommend for anyone that wants to go to church, please make sure you go to a word church. Please make sure you attend a church where they use their Bible. Every single time you're there, they use the Bible, and they're not just quoting one scripture out of the Bible and that's it. Go to a word church. That is my recommendation for anyone out there. Okay. But you can get that foundation in church, absolutely, and that fellowship, you know as long as everybody is vibing high. You do have to remember though, at church, because I also think another misconception too. Oh my goodness, look at me rambling on. This was gifts and perks that come with healing. Oh my goodness, I have just rambled. This is a bad habit of mine that I'm really trying to break, like rambling. Once I get going on something, sometimes it's hard to stop. But I think I may have to save this conversation for another day. Oh my gosh. But what I was gonna say was, people have to remember, and what people may not know or be aware of, that church is like they say, church is kind of like a hospital for the sick. Church is a hospital for the spiritually broken. And I do think sometimes people go into churches with the expectation that, once again, it's supposed to be like, people have their own ideologies or whatever of how they think something is supposed to be, and then they're disappointed when they walk in and something is completely different. And what you have to understand is that everybody is not going to be nice to you. Everybody is not going to greet you. And I hate to say it like that. That sounds so crazy, right? Oh my goodness. To say that if you walk into a church, you might not get that warm welcome like that. That could be a red flag too. But the point was that you are not the only broken person going into church and seeking help and seeking Jesus. Okay. So you can expect that there are probably going to be other people who are broken as well, who are searching for Jesus, and they're trying to find answers. So it's not, everybody that you come across may not be warm, they may not be welcoming. But that's another topic for another day. Okay. Y'all, I have rambled on. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna try to get it together. I'm gonna try to get it together. To be honest with you, that's just my style, honestly. But gifts and perks that come with healing. Well, yeah, a lot of what I touched on is gifts and perks that come with healing. Like, um originally I had wanted to do like kind of one of those videos where you touch on like five things or seven things, and then you list each thing, and then and then you talk about each thing that you list. I can never ever seem to like get it right when it comes to stuff like that. So I just got to stay true to who I am. If you follow, you follow. And if it sounded like I was too all over the place, then I do apologize in advance. But hey, I'm a work in progress, and I'm sure that you are a work in progress as well. Okay, so just keep a sister in prayer. That's it. All right. Um, but I think I'm going to end this right here because I went way over. I'm almost at 50 minutes, y'all. I'm gonna do another video, but I'm trying to, so the more um my channel grows, I most definitely plan on, going live and stuff like that. And I would love to be able to go live and have topics such as these, and just have people weigh in with their own testimonies, adding their input, things like that. So much cool things in store, when the community really grows. um So yeah, y'all. But I have just rambled on. But yeah, this was I don't know if I'm gonna call this part two. I'm gonna just say gifts and perks that come with healing and other things, and other things. Yeah, I'm gonna just put other things like yeah, the things that I touched on in this video. But y'all, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get off this mic, and hopefully you everyone, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. Y'all enjoy y'all week. Y'all enjoy y'all month. Y'all enjoy y'all year whenever this show up, you know, on your timeline. Definitely, give it a listen. And if you have not, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Yeah. So until next time, y'all, because I have took and ramble on today. I'm so sorry. Lord have mercy. Um, but until next time, bye bye. Be blessed, everybody.